Hey everybody, welcome. For those of you who don't know me already, my name is Brian Turner. I used to have really severe cystic acne. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably say it was like an 8 or a 9, and it literally felt like the world was crushing me every freaking day. All parts of my face were covered. I'd have blackheads and bumps all across my entire forehead. I would have about 5 or 6 large and very painful cysts at any time on my face, and anywhere there wasn't blackheads and cysts, there were pimples in between. I definitely say I was known for my acne, and people would point it out to me every single day. They'd give me unsolicited advice, which I'm sure you get as well. And so basically, no matter how hard I tried to escape it and focus my mind on something else, I pretty much just wasn't allowed to. People would always bring it back to my acne. In today's video, I want to explain to you how I was able to ultimately figure out my acne and get to where I am now, and how I've been able to transform my skin. So I hope you'll stick around, because I think if you're dealing with acne, this is going to be a really useful video for you. Okay, first off, I want to say I know exactly how you're feeling. Whether you're fed up and you're super angry because of your acne, or you're feeling defeated, you're feeling crushed, you're feeling small, I felt the exact same way. And the first piece of advice I want to give you is to not give up and to not let your acne keep you away from the things that you want to do that make you happy in life. It's one of my biggest regrets I have ever had, is avoiding events, avoiding dates, avoiding all sorts of things that I wanted to do because my acne was scaring me from going out and doing them. So don't let that happen. Obviously, that's easier said than done, but it's good advice. Okay, let me tell you my acne story and how I got rid of it. Real quickly, the whole thing started when I was about 15 years or so. I just started lifting weights, just started getting into bodybuilding. No, I didn't take steroids ever. It's a question that I always get. Even when I was going to my dermatologist, they would ask me over and over, and they never seemed to believe me. Again, more unsolicited advice, but I did crank up my calories to around 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day, and a ton of that was from milk, cheese, mass gainers, and protein supplements. Now, that was definitely one huge source of my acne, but it wasn't the only one, which I later found out. So anyways, by the time I was maybe 17 or 18, my acne had pretty much gotten to the worst, most severe point. And being in high school only made it tougher, because people would go and call me crater face, they'd call me Rudolph because I would get cysts on the tip of my nose. And all of that added extra stress each morning, because I didn't know how my face was gonna look when I went up to the mirror. And if you don't know already, stress is a huge factor, a huge cause of acne. So that was just feeding into it even more. So I went down the same course of action that pretty much everybody goes down when they get acne. I tried all the topicals, I tried all the 3-step programs like Proactive, and I didn't even see a little difference. Like, nothing changed at all. It was really discouraging. And so I basically just came to the conclusion that I have to see a dermatologist. So I went in there, and immediately they got me on antibiotic pills like doxycycline and minocycline. Didn't work. Then they put me on, powerful retinoids like Retin-A. Didn't work. And then eventually, after a lot of careful consideration and researching the side effects, my doctor, he prescribed me on Accutane, and it didn't work. I'm serious. I know so many of these videos end with someone getting on Accutane, and that is the thing that cures everything. But for me, that wasn't the solution. I ended up being on Accutane for 72 weeks. My acne, it didn't get better for about 45 of those 72 weeks. And my doctor pretty much just couldn't figure out why nothing was changing. He just kept upping my dose until I was taking literally 12 times the regular dose. A regular dose is 20 milligrams. I was on 240 milligrams, and it still wasn't working. So eventually, my doctor finally mentioned that some of his clients that worked out, they took out whey protein powders and supplements, and it helped. So in my head, I said, I'm gonna take out all forms of dairy from my diet, from the gallon of milk I was having every single day, yes, seriously, as well as the protein powders, the mass gainers, all that kind of stuff. And finally, Accutane started taking effect. So now we fast forward to the end of my Accutane treatment, 72 weeks into it. My face was almost completely clear. It was really dry, but it was mostly clear. I was super pumped, because finally it seemed like I had fixed this, and I hadn't thought too deeply about why I had acne in the first place. I was just pumped. I was just happy because I finally, for the first time in so long, was able to figure it out. And I'd gotten rid of my acne. So then a few months go by, I started relaxing on what I was eating. I had absolutely no skincare routine because I just didn't really know what I should do. I was starting to make mistakes that later I learned were causing my acne to start coming back. And I was terrified because for the first time in so long, my number one fear was coming true. I was getting cystic acne again. I was getting these nodule cysts under my skin. It was painful, and honestly, it was breaking my confidence down because I was so happy to finally be over it, and then it was coming back into my life. So pretty much I just went into overdrive trying to figure out changes that could stop me from relapsing into the breakouts that I had suffered from before. So I started making all these different changes to try to figure things out. The first change I made was removing all forms of dairy again, because it worked really well in the past. So I put it back into play. For me, that was a huge factor. So immediately it started helping out. But later I realized that dairy was the cause of my cystic acne, but I was still getting blackheads and pimples. So the next 2 things that I did that really helped my pimples and my blackheads was I started increasing my water intake to 1 to 2 gallons a day. And then I started increasing my veggie intake to like around 12 to 16 servings of literally any type of veggie a day. And those 2 things helped even more. So I started getting really encouraged to find whatever else I could to really help improve my acne even more. Luckily, I did find other things that helped even more, and I'm gonna tell you guys those real quick. But first, if you're in a position right now where you're trying to clear your acne and you feel like you've tried literally everything, you should try out my acne program. I made it for people who are just like us, who have acne and haven't been able to figure it out, because I know how much the knowledge and having a plan can help to transform your skin. I made it super cheap and affordable. It's only $10. It's 10 steps. You can check it out. It's www.theacnemethod.com. I think you're gonna really like it. You should check out the testimonials on there, because people have been able to make really crazy transformations. So yeah, check that out. Okay, so the other change I started to make where I was improving my acne even more were I started to improve my sleep. So I was getting at least 8 hours of sleep no matter what. And I did that by just going to bed earlier. That made it way easier to sleep more and get better quality sleep. I started to write down everything in my life that was causing me stress, and I eliminated or just changed every one of them so that they would have basically less impact on my day-to-day life, so that I would have less stress, and I basically removed as much of it as possible. I realized that taking dairy out of my diet improved my acne so much, so I started looking at other things in my diet. So I started having as little to no alcohol as possible, and little to no high sugar and high fatty foods as possible, because I actually found a couple studies that show that those 3 things increase your acne by increasing the amount of oil that you produce. Another thing that I did that you've probably heard a million times, but I stopped touching my face ever, which was actually really hard at first, because I mean, like even just leaning against your hand or just picking at your pimples a little bit, I just stopped it completely. And it was really tough, but once I started doing it, it really helped. And then I started using a sunscreen on my face every day that was at least 35 SPF, and that helped a lot, especially for me with my redness. And then once I felt like I had figured out a lot of the lifestyle changes, I started looking into my skincare routine. So I looked into scientific studies and found what ingredients actually work and which ones are just, talked about a bunch. And through those scientific studies, the routine I got to is really simple, but it helped a bunch. So it's a glycolic acid mask once a week, sometimes twice if my skin's feeling okay with it. Vitamin C cream every single day. I use it as a moisturizer, but vitamin C is really effective for helping improve acne scarring, but also acne. So I use it every single day. And then a light cleanser for the end of each day, usually after my workout. And that's it. It's not unnecessarily complicated. It's easy on the skin, but it really helped me a lot. I think a lot of times we get really complicated, weird routines with skincare products. And a lot of times we'll stack too many things, too many acids, too many cleansers on top of each other. And your face, I feel like, actually fights back because it gets so dry, it gets so sensitive, and it gets so irritated that you actually start breaking out more. So figuring out what works for you, but trying to minimize it and break it down into just the simplest components, I think that's a huge part of controlling your acne. So all of those things in combination, I know it's kind of a lot, but you can try each one on your own. Those all helped control my acne a lot more. And I noticed that when I slack and I slip up on some of those things that are in my routine, I definitely break out more. And then when I'm on point, it helps me control my acne. So it's good for me that I was able to slowly over time pinpoint the things that helped improve my acne. I think the craziest thing for me is that people who haven't seen me since my acne was at its worst, like when I was in high school, they'll say that they literally don't recognize me anymore. People are astounded that I ever had acne because, you saw how severe it was. And then they'll be like, it doesn't look like you have any acne scars or anything like that. For me, all that stuff's crazy, but I can honestly say the biggest transformation for me that acne gave me is definitely mentally and spiritually. I'm a much kinder person. I'm much more patient. I'm much more empathetic. And I understand the struggles that people go through. They might seem small to someone from the outside. And realizing that made me realize that one of the things I want to do the most in my life is to help people in any way I can. So if you're out there struggling, I love you, and I hope this video and the other videos that are on my channel can help you. So there you have it. That's my story. I think I covered everything. There's so many other details. I've told this story a lot of times, so I feel like I always want to say more, but I think that's pretty much my story. I know everybody's gonna ask, so the skincare line that I do use is called Banish. I put a link in the description below. There's a discount code, all that kind of stuff. They're really my favorite brand because their ethos that they have, it's pretty aligned with mine. They also create their products in-house. Check them out if you want to. Also though, check out my Discord to chat with me and others about skincare and acne if you don't want to feel alone. And definitely, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. It helps it get out to more people. Leave a comment, or if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe because I put 1 to 2 videos out every single week, usually Thursdays and Sundays. And with that, remember, you are not alone, you are beautiful, and you're part of Team Acne. I'll see you sexy people in the very next video.